Welcome to Srimad Bagavatam session. Today we are going to discuss about 11th canto, 3rd chapter, text number 41. Sri Rajo Vacha Karma Yogam Va Vadatanaha Purusho Yena Samskritaha Vidyu Viduye Hasukarmani Naiskarmyam Vindate Param. Translation purport given by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Word by word meaning. Sri Raja Vacha, King said, Karma Yogam, practice of dovetailing one's work with the Supreme. Vadata, please tell na us, Purusha, a person, Yena, by which, Samskritaha, being refined, Viduya, getting rid of Iha in this life, Asu, quickly, Karmani, materialistic activities, Nice Karmyam, freedom from fruitive reactions, Vindate, enjoys Param, transcendental. Translation. King Nimi said, O great Jesus, please speak to us about the process of Karma Yoga. Purified by this process of dedicating one's practical work to the Supreme, a person can very quickly free himself from all material activities, even in this life, and thus enjoy pure life on the transcendental platform. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 3.5, Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishati akarma krut karyate hi avasah karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. All men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Since the living entity cannot remain inactive, he must learn to dedicate his activities to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse from Bhagavad Gita as follows. It is not the question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by a spirit soul which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dedicated by illusory energy. In contact with the material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes, and to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in its natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. Ordinary people often question the busy activities of the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, mistaking such activities to be ordinary material work. Srila Jiva Goswami has stated in this connection, Kamya karmani eva tyajitani natu nitya naimitikani palasya eva vinidittatvat. One should give up selfish activities performed for one's personal sense gratification, since the result of such thoughtless work is further material bondage, but one should offer one's regular or occasional occupational duties to the Supreme Lord. Thus, such activities become transcendental devotion service. By the words Tasmad Gurum Prapadyate Jignaso Shreya Uttamam, this chapter clearly explained that dovetailing one's work with the service of the Lord is an art one should learn at the lotus feet of one of its spiritual mother. Otherwise, if one whimsically declares his materialistic work to be transcendental devotion service, there will be no actual result. Therefore, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, one should not mistake the word Naishkamyam to indicate inactivity. Rather, it indicates transcendental activity under the guidance of the Lord and His representative. So, just a recap. In last session, we discussed about the glories of the holy name, how a conditioned soul can be liberated from this samsara, this giant wheel which is repetition of birth and death cycle, one can be relieved from taking up Krishna consciousness, as scriptures recommends in this Kali Yuga. The only process of delivering from this material world, or to cross over this material ocean which is nescience, one has to Hare Namaiva Hare Namaiva Kevalam Kalau Nastaiva 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 Gatiranyata. So this is the only way, and there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. 3 times it is chanted, but of chanting the holy names of the Lord, it's the only way. So Krishna says, Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and launched this amazing, magnanimous sutra for Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga only the Yuga Dharma is chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Krishna says in 8.6 also that Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tajantante Kalevaram Tajati Ante Kalevaram Tam Evaiti Kaunteya Sadatad Bhava Bhavitam. Whoever leaves the body at the time of death and remembers me, they will attain my nature. He says Sadatad Bhava Bhavitam. They will be awarded at the time of the suitable body is awarded by material nature. Karmana Daiva Nettena Jentu Dehopapate. According to one's fruitive desires and actions under the jurisdiction of representatives of the Lord called demigods, the living entity is awarded particular material body which is inevitable, subject to harassment by birth and death. So according to our fruitive activities, according to our own the karmic reactions, whatever we have done in our previous birth, so we will get the body accordingly awarded by the representatives of Lord, that is demigods. They award these bodies for us. So to get relieved from this, or to be free, to set free from this repetition of birth and death, one has to remember the Lord that at the time of death, Anta Kalecha Mamaiva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram Yati Prayati Ya Prayati Samadbhavam Sa Madbhavam. Krishna says, Mad means me, my. Remember me, Krishna says. That means remember Krishna at the time of death. Ya Prayati Samadbhavam Yati Nati Atra Samsaya. There is no doubt you can attain me. You will come to me, Krishna says. So Krishna is giving Vagdanam. Krishna is giving promise for us. He is promising us. He is giving a word. He is committed now. Krishna is committed that I will, you will come to me if you remember me at the time of death. Ya Prayati Samadbhavam. Ya Prayati Samadbhavam. And you will come to me. Yati Nati Atra Samsayaha. There is no doubt that you will definitely come to me. So it's very easy process. The only thing we have to keep the ball rolling, or the ahaituki apratihata is very important. In Bagavatam it says that ahaituki apratihata savaipumso parodharma adokshada Bhagavati adokshada ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. So one has to be free from hetuvada, and also one has to be free from stopping or practicing Krishna. One should not stop practicing Krishna consciousness. So I should always have a continuous methodology of practicing Krishna consciousness, as Srila Prabhupada has made a very beautiful arrangement so that we can mold all our activities, and also Scripture says that don't stop any of your normal, regular activities. This particular verse says 41, whatever you do, whatever activities you do according to the scriptural injunctions, but do it for Krishna. Do any karma, but it should be, yoga should be added. Karma yoga should be added. Yoga means to unite with Krishna. To unite with Krishna. Yoga, it is called yoga, comes from the word yoga. To unite with Krishna means dovetail or activities to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. Like Ambrish Maharaj, he uses or utilizes or dovetails all his angas for the service of the Lord. So similarly, there are so many characters in Srimad Bagavatam, Ramayana and other activities. Bharat Maharaj, for instance, he always tried to engross his thoughts, his consciousness only to serve Lord Ram. That is why he brought the Pada Rakshaka of Lord Shri Ram and kept on his Simhasana. So he worshipped the lotus feet of Ram, keeping the Pada Rakshakas of Lord Shri Ram. So whatever activities we do, the Krishna should be centered, and all our activities, all our thoughts should be absorbed and engrossed with for serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Because the conditioned soul in the material world takes birth according to the mode he has practiced, the mode he has absorbed, the mode he has followed, the three modes of material nature. So when the soul comes from the Vaikuntha Loka or spiritual planet, is Sachitananda Swarupa, but when it gets contact with the material world, he becomes contaminated, and he will be under the spell of Maya, and therefore conditioned soul, by nature soul is very pure, but one cannot say that one may raise the question that how, if soul is Sachitananda Swarupa, then how can it get contaminated? So it gets contaminated by identification himself as a body, identifying his body. See, there is one story, beautiful story, that in Puranas, that one very rich fellow, he wants to sell off his he wants to sell off his property, very valuable property. But he doesn't want to sell his property, but his sons were insisting him to sell his property. But somehow or other, they made a plan that to dispose that property. But after some days, when father came to see his property, then he saw that particular property is getting fired, it is getting burnt, it caught the fire. As soon as he saw, immediately the father, he was lamenting, "Oh, my property, I lost my property. Then the first son comes to his father, "My dear father, don't worry about that. Don't lament about that, because already I sold this property, so it's not ours. So we got the money back." So immediately he was in such a lamenting position. He was at once he stopped lamenting. He said, he was he was smiling. He was very happy. When he was smiling, the other son came and told his father, "My dear father, we sold the property, but it's still under the litigation, because we have not produced the proper documents for this property." So in this case, we can understand that he was then, after the second son's statement, he was lamenting. So for some time he was feeling very happy, and sometimes he was lamenting so much. So the soul, identifying about his designations and the properties and to his belongings, is so much attached to it. But when when the things becomes very favorable, then naturally the materialistic persons will become will get will leads lead will go, become will get lamentation. They keep lamenting because they lost their belongings, the dear property, and the very lovable property. So you can also see the example of the green coconut, tender coconut. So when we don't pluck the tender coconut from the tree, after some days it becomes very hard. Inside it will be water will be there when it is tender, but as the days passed on, if you don't pluck it, then definitely that green will become and the water in that tender coconut gets dried up, and you can see that the pulp of the coconut, it's not getting, it is not touching the cell. So when you hold the coconut, and if you just shake it, you can hear that sound, that it is no, it's separated from that shell. Before that it was attached to cell, but when it gets dried up, when the water gets dried up, and when the pulp becomes, the coconut becomes very hard, very thick layer, then it is separated from the shell. So our life is also like that only, that when the lamentation and happiness goes and comes, but we should not be influenced for this sukha dukkha. Agamo apaya nitya tam sthiti sasva bharata 2:14 Gita says. Matra spasastu kaunteya sitoshna shuka dukkada agamo apaya nitya tam sthiti sasva bharata. The sufferings, the miseries and happiness keeps going and coming, like the weather, hot and cold climate on rainy season like this. This hot and cold climate keeps on coming and going, but we should not get so much absorbed for these changes in the weather conditions or changes in our life's reversals, challenges and complexities. So whatever the activities comes, we should always be like a mountain, and we should always be like a pure devotee, that we should not deeply involved in this, and leave everything to Krishna. Try to dovetail things to Krishna, and try to be absorbed in Krishna by following the 9 devotional services steps, 9 different types of devotional services. Then the misidentification of this body will get, we will be free from that misidentification of the body, that we are the soul, but that we are not the body. The misidentification is that we are the body. We are identifying with our bodily activities, the externals. So similarly, in the case of Bilva Mangala Thakur, is from South India, son of Ramadas. He was a very great author of Krishna Kathamrita, Krishna Karanamrita. In his previous life, he was so much attached to prostitute Chintamani. And when Chintamani, one day when he was having the rituals of his father, the last rites of his father, he was doing rituals. But suddenly he thinks of that prostitute. He wants to have some, he felt that he wants to see, desperately wants to see that Chintamani, who is very beautiful and who is very colorful. So immediately he rushed up to her house, but unfortunately there was so much rain, but still he wants to go and desperately wants to see that Chintamani. And he traveled on the boat, but her house was in 2nd or 3rd floor. When he reached the house, he was not able to go. He was not able to enter her house properly directly. So he took in a hatchway, holding a rope, and got into her house through the windows. So in remembering her, in that desperation, want to see her, he traveled on the ship, in the boat, but that's not a boat, it's a dead body. He caught the rope, that's not the rope, it's a dead snake. So he doesn't even know that he has traveled on the dead body, and he caught the rope and he entered into the the Chintamani's house. She was so much desperate about her, and somehow or other he wants to enjoy the wants to please his senses, or gratifying his senses. So therefore, after seeing his desperation, Chintamani spoke like this: see, gentlemen, you have come to see me, but with so many hardships. For these hardships and this energy, if you have spent for Krishna, who gives the liberation from this material world, you would have gone to the kingdom of Godhead earlier itself. So you are so much attached to this karma, these lusty activities. So this statement brought a transformation in the heart of Bilomangal Thakur. So he left the place and he went back to his house. On the way, again, he saw one lady was holding a pot of water, and from the back he was just enjoying the scene. So then again he came to the senses that still I am committing the same mistake. I'm still having that the lusty activities, lusty feelings in my heart and mind. So because of this eyes, it is leading me, or it is guiding me to see all these ugly things and nonsensical things. So let me pluck my eyes. So he went to that particular girl, and he asked, Bilomangal Thakur asked that girl, that particular lady, can you please give me your hair pins, which you are holding your hairs. Some innocently she gave that the pins, and he plucked the both of his eyes. Then it was bleeding so much, and in that condition, plight, he went to travel to Vrindavan. So while traveling, he was in the blind condition. He was not able to walk. Suddenly, Krishna appeared as a small boy and gave him a cup of milk, and he was guiding him to Vrindavan. So Bilomangal Thakur, finally he realized that this life should not be meant for sense gratification, and this life is not meant for the bodily activities or to please myself, to satisfy myself. This should be dovetailed to please Krishna or to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then Krishna guided him, and Krishna served him, and he was giving all the milk, everything. Every day he was serving milk and all those things. And one day he became very old. By realizing all these things, Bilomangal Thakur wrote Krishna Kathamrita. So very beautiful literature it is about Krishna. And at last, finally Krishna, by the way, I forgot to tell you that Bilomangal Thakur, when he was walking, he fell on the deep well, and again Krishna came and rescued him. And after that, rescuing him, again Bilomangal Thakur was asking, who are you? You are just that small boy, you are helping me. And Krishna never responded him, and he just pushed him aside and he went off. And Bilamangal Thakur sang a song about this, that it has come it has come in all vernacular languages in the devotional in devotional songs, that in Gujarat Narasimha Mehta, in Karnataka Purandara Dasar, all these great devotees and acharyas have written about this. That when Bilamangala Thakur, his next response was, he was telling like this, he was speaking like this, that my dear Krishna, that because of my old age, I am not able to run behind you, so you left me alone and you went off. You know that I am old, I cannot run behind you. That is why you left me. But you can escape from my physical from my physical activities, but you cannot escape from my heart. I have just tied you with my pure love inside my heart. You cannot escape from my heart. So that was the mood and mission of the feelings of the pure devotee, and the love for Krishna was so enchanting, ecstatic, and so unforgettable, and it is so meritorious. He cannot even forget Krishna, that he says that I have tied you with my pure love inside my heart. Even in Chaurashtakam also it is said that in the last verse, that I have arrested you in my heart, because my heart is like a jail. Inside the jail I have arrested you. You cannot escape from me. So that means pure devotees cannot live even a second without Krishna. So the Krishna is always with them. So that's the here ordinary people often questions the busy activities of devotees of Krishna consciousness movement, making such activities to be ordinary material work. Jiva Goswami stated this: one should give up the selfish activities performed for one's personal sense gratification, since the result of such thoughtless work is further material bondage. So in sloka number 42, Evam prasannam rishin purvam aprucham pitur antike nabruvan brahmanaha putras tatra karanam uchyatam. In the past, the Nimi Maharaj says, in the past, in the presence of my father Maharaj Ikshvaku, I placed a similar question before the great sages, but they didn't question me, they didn't answer this question, but they did not answer my question. Please explain the reason for this. The reason is, when King Nimi was very small, even if the Navayogendras would have given the answer, he would not able to understand or digest that particular answer. That is because of his small age and immature knowledge, he was not able to understand this. That is why King Nimi was young boy, therefore not mature enough to understand that answer fully. In sloka number 43, Sri Avirhotra Vacha Karma Vikrameti Veda Vadona Laukikaha Vedasya Chesvartma Atmavat Tatra Muhyanti Surayaha. Great scholar authorities. Avihotra, the great one of the Navayogendras, replied that prescribed duties of non-performance of such duties and forbidden activities or topics one can properly understand through authorized study of the Vedic literatures. This difficult subject matter can never be understood by mundane speculation. So the authorized Vedic literature is the sound incarnation of the personality of God himself, and thus Vedic knowledge is perfect. Even the greatest learned scholars are bewildered in their attempts to understand the science of action if they neglect the authority of the Vedic knowledge. So this particular verse um, uh, elaborates about the Shabda Brahma or the personality of Godhead. The sound comes from the Vedas. So the Vedas are very revealed scriptures. Prescribed duties are authorized by the revealed scriptures are called karma. Here it is explained about the karma and vikarma. Karma means prescribed duties authorized by the revealed scriptures are called karma, where the failure to execute one's highest duty is called karma. The performance of forbidden activities is called vikarma. So as we can, if you want to understand very simply, that karma are the activities done by the person which are meant to be fruitive, very fruitive, and akarma is activities done according to scriptures. Karma is doing against the scriptures. So, but in the Shastras, it is said that Lord says that Shabda Brahma, Param Brahma, Mamobe, Shashwati Tanu. I am the form of a transcendental vibration of the Vedas, and such as Omkara and Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and I am the supreme absolute truth. These two forms of mine, namely the transcendental Vedic sound and the eternal blissful spiritual form of the deity. So these Vedas are transcendental holy names are not from any person who is materially absorbed, but it is apaurushaya. It comes from the spiritual planets. It does not come from this any particular materialistic person, but it comes from the spiritual world. So one should follow the spiritual injunctions without hesitating or without any doubt. Like how a child has full faith on his mother, and mother shows that this is your father, then the child has to accept it. So Vedas are like mothers. Vedas are like mother, and Krishna is like a father. So these scriptures are written by Vedavyas, who is also the literal incarnate of Krishna. So these Vedas cannot be comprehended, or it cannot be approached by the mundane methods of comprehension. So, and also this cannot be understood by this material senses. It has to be, we should follow the methodology of how our previous acharyas have followed by practicing this Krishna consciousness. So this is a very pure transcendental method. So that's why the Srila Rupa Goswami is one of the favorable point of devotion service is one has to follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.